We begin tonight with Oregon workers on strike. Today, Beaverton Starbucks employees were out on the picket lines. Thank you for joining us. I'm Blair Best. This comes as workers across the U.S. are fighting for higher wages and better health care. Thomas Schultz has the story.
Dozens of Starbucks workers from across the West Coast are in Beaverton as employees at the Southwest Jenkins location continue a two-day strike. Workers say that they need higher wages, better health care, and more hours from Starbucks.
Portland is a union town.
As cars whizzed by, the workers raised their voices and their signs. They also covered the Starbucks drive-thru itself with pro-union messages.
We're not getting a lot of support from behind the scenes.
Across Portland, 4 Starbucks stores organized this weekend in protest. They were met by the Star Bus, filled with fellow union members from up and down the West Coast, part of a nationwide bus tour.
I think it'll definitely send a message to the company, and hopefully it'll change something, but obviously Starbucks has been very adamant about denying any and all claims that they're doing anything illegal.
Workers say the coffee shop is trying to union bust.
We're going to keep fighting, we're going to keep striking, we'll do what we have to.
Emily Pickering has worked at Starbucks for a year and a half. She doesn't get the hours she needs.
I just think it's ridiculous.
She's not alone. Other employees say they've seen former union members get pushed out of jobs.
I've seen things roll back more and more that Starbucks used to be really proud of, just making sure we were staffed.
Oliver Boyce has worked for Starbucks off and on for the past decade. He'd like to see Starbucks guaranteed to continue to offer gender-affirming care for their workers, something they do now.
And it just seems like whenever you try to voice your opinion to Starbucks, something's screaming in a void at this point.
In a statement, Starbucks said it is committed to a first contract with union representatives who have bargained with professionalism. They say they've tried to schedule bargaining dates for hundreds of stores, but Workers United has only met for 10 store negotiations. But workers say,
Power of the hour.
Demands have yet to be met. Still, hopes and signs remain high.
I want to fight for them, fight for me, fight for anyone else who joins.
Starbucks employees I spoke with say they hope this strike and others across the nation will push Starbucks closer to their demands. But once again, Starbucks says the union has shown more of a commitment to rallies than to bargaining. In Beaverton, Thomas Schultz, KGW News.
Now to some new developments in the case of a man officials say kidnapped a Seattle woman and locked her in a cinder block cell at his home in Klamath Falls. According to court records, Nagasi Zuberi also allegedly attacked, abused, and threatened to kill another woman before she sought a protective order against him 3 years ago. The restraining order filed in California said Zuberi had 2 children with the woman. He's lived in 10 states in the last 10 years, including locally in Clark County. His former neighbor in Klamath Falls says she's shocked to hear the details in the case, but there were definitely some red flags in how he interacted with his partner.
To say that I'm surprised about the charges, what he's charged with, yes, I'm surprised but in the sense of the fact of disrespecting women, I'm not surprised, in that, that what it's rooted in and treating women like they're beneath.
In addition to the recent Klamath Falls kidnapping, detectives say they've tied Zuberi to 3 more sexual assaults in other states and believe there could be more. Well, it's a big shift in the world of college athletics. The University of Oregon and University of Washington are joining the Big Ten Conference after more than a century in the Pac-12. University of Oregon Board of Trustees voted unanimously to join the Big Ten. The move goes into effect next August. Now, this will impact the team's schedules and opponents. It also puts rivalry games in jeopardy. Coming up in sports, Orlando Sanchez will break it all down, the reasons behind the moves and how people are reacting. Well, a fire that broke out Friday afternoon has now burned more than 200 acres. This has been named the Price Borough Fire. Some 60 homes are now under level 3 go now evacuation orders around Mount Tom Drive. That's about 9 miles east of Harrisburg on the east side of I-5. The Linn County Sheriff's Office says there's an emergency order for an emergency shelter, for anyone who needs it at the Linn County Fairgrounds. So far, officials say the fire has not reached any houses, and at this point, no word on the cause. And right now near Wilsonville, a brush fire has burned about 3 acres. Firefighters say it's burning on Southwest Westfall Road, west of Wilsonville, in a wheat field that had recently been cut. They say they're working to keep it away from a nearby home and some horses. We'll let you know if it gets any bigger. Well, we started this weekend off with more of a fall feeling. Let's bring in Joe Ranieri. And Joe, it sounds like we shouldn't be complaining about this weather.
No, I think here the next several days, people are going to look back to this week and remember when we woke up to morning clouds and light drizzle? That sounds pretty nice. Well, it did sound kind of nice and felt nice if you were one of those few that did see some light drizzle. Just trace them out throughout many locations in the metro area. But it was kind of a nice feeling out there. Right now, we're seeing temperature of 68 degrees. You have some low clouds that have never really melted away along the central Oregon coast there. Right now we're seeing a temperature of 84 degrees. Humidity is at 43% and kind of a little bit of a muggy feeling once again. But heading into tomorrow, we are going to be seeing mostly cloudy throughout the morning hours and mainly dry. Again, a weak system will kind of move in just north of us. That could be bringing in a little bit of some light sprinkles and some light drizzle. The active weather will be throughout the east side of the state once again as more thunderstorms roll in. And they are popping up once again. I'll get to that in a second. But very comfortable temperatures heading into next week. We'll go from comfortable to downright hot and uncomfortably hot, I should say, heading into late this week and into next weekend. But right now, as we kind of zoom in a little bit, you can kind of see that counterclockwise rotation. We are picking up a little bit of some light showers at times throughout the high desert over in Deschutes County, and that's going to continue heading into tomorrow as well. I'll talk more about that and break down your timeline of when the heat arrives coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Joe, looking forward to it.